Apple's first event of 2024 is happening in just a few days, and we've got some last-minute leaks on what is coming soon. Plus, we've got some brand new leaks on iOS 18, the iPhone 16, and it looks like Apple Vision Pro might sort of be a flop. We're like just 1 week away from the big Apple event, so let me break down all the leaks, rumors, last-minute details, and tell you everything you need to know about the wild world of Apple right now. All right, let me start with some bad news here, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Turns out that you guys watching this video, you were right. Not a lot of people are excited to spend nearly $4,000 on Apple Vision Pro, and now after hearing that Apple has dramatically cut their production of this headset, we're hearing it's not selling well in stores, we're hearing that demos are on the major decline, and now a Vision Pro 2 won't be launching until late 2026 at the earliest. This is coming from Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg, who has done some digging and talking to Apple retail employees, and just looks like people aren't super excited about this. And maybe there's some big breakthrough with Vision OS 2 at WWDC in a couple of weeks in June, but as of right now, the hardware is still super expensive, it's lacking some killer app or killer use case, and it seems like even Apple doesn't exactly know what to do with this thing, and now that the initial hype has died down, seems like not a lot of people are doing demos, and even less people are actually buying this thing. And we're hearing that while Vision Pro 2 might not come until the end of 2026, we could see a regular Apple Vision or Vision Air, some sort of cheaper version of the headset, launch sometime next year. But I want to know, what do you guys think about that, and does it even make sense? Is the failure of Vision Pro, or the alleged failure, due to the fact that it's missing a killer app or use case? Is it because the price is too high? Is it because it's too hard to explain? Let me know your thoughts on this down below, but yeah, if you guys were skeptical of Vision Pro, you had every right to be, because it's on shaky ground right now. All right, moving on to a little bit more exciting news. Let's talk about the Apple event happening in less than a week. And I don't want to be one to brag or say I told you so, but in a video I published 2 weeks ago, I talked about the possibility of a surprise spring event, what we could see, how there was an uptick in rumors about that, and even the thumbnail had a date that was not changed after the fact. So Apple Circle, for as much criticism as we get in the comments about things that may or may not happen, I'm just reporting the news, and sometimes it actually is right, despite what you may think. So anyways, we do have an Apple event happening on May 7th. This is the Let Loose event, and based off of all the teasing that Apple's done, this is definitely going to be a very iPad-focused event. Two big clues give this away. One is sort of the obvious one, the Apple Pencil kind of in like the actual artwork for this thing, so pretty obvious we're going to be getting a new Apple Pencil and new iPads. And also, if you go to Apple's website, they're like cycling through a bunch of different like drawing animation types of the Apple logo, which is what they did similarly back in 2018 with the big redesign of the iPad Pro at that New York event. So definitely sort of harkening back to some iPad-esque events from the past. Seems like it's going to be very heavily iPad focused, and we could be getting a couple of interesting iPad updates in like just a couple of days from now. First iPad update to look out for is for the iPad Air. Rumor has it this is going to be getting an M2 processor inside. The camera is going to switch from the portrait orientation to the landscape orientation. It's long overdue. This makes a lot of sense. And then the big story here is that Apple's going to be launching a larger, cheaper iPad with a 12.9-inch version of the iPad Air. Now, there were some last-minute rumors that this could be a mini LED display, which actually would be pretty exciting and would be a really nice display upgrade for the iPad Air. But now those rumors are walked back a bit. And on one hand, it does make sense. Apple's been making 12.9-inch mini LED displays for years now, so they probably could make these pretty cost-effective for the iPad Air, but at the same time, that's just more expensive tech that eats into Apple's sweet margins, so we might not be getting a mini LED display after all. But a larger, cheaper iPad Air is in the works. Where we will be getting a more significant screen upgrade, though, is on the iPad Pro, as we are gonna get potentially a lot of new features for iPad Pro. Probably the biggest feature to look out for is the upgrade from mini LED to OLED display technology on the 11 and 12.9-inch iPad Pros. Like iPad Air, camera will be moving to the landscape orientation, and then there are a couple of wild theories here on the iPad Pro, and they're very unsubstantiated rumors, so let me just tell you what we think we know. We could be getting even slimmer, thinner bezels on iPad Pro. We could be getting some sort of MagSafe support for MagSafe wireless charging or MagSafe accessories. This has been a long-standing rumor that could turn out to be true, and also some rumors of a matte display option, that if you wanted a matte anti-glare display option, sort of like Pro Display XDR and Studio Display, that might actually be coming to the iPad Pros this year, which I know there's some debate on whether it's good or bad. I guess it's sort of personal preference, but if you're a fan of that, that might be an option on the iPad Pros this year, though keep in mind that with that upgraded OLED display technology, we will also be getting a price increase likely to these models as well. No word yet on what the price increase will be, but just sort of be prepared for prices to go up this year on those models. One interesting twist to this story, though, is that we're hearing that the iPad is going to be getting a new chip, which we knew about, but instead of the M3, it actually might be the M4. Mark Gurman, again, over at Bloomberg, says that Apple might be sort of accelerating their chip development, putting the M4 in iPad Pro, and touting the new neural engine capabilities and the new AI capabilities in the iPad Pro. Obviously, AI is a very big buzzword right now in the tech world. Apple has sort of fallen behind on this, and they're going to sort of accelerate their plans, and we don't exactly know what AI features these are going to be. We have some rumors on iOS 18 I'll get to in a moment, but sort of what we expect is Apple's going to lean in heavy on the M4 and its AI capabilities and on-device large language models and machine learning and all those buzzwords. Basically, some AI capabilities might be coming to the iPad Pro with the M4 chip. We just don't exactly know what those are going to be just yet, but you heard it here first. In addition to new iPad hardware, we'll also be getting a couple of new accessories as well. The Apple Magic Keyboard case, whatever Apple calls their keyboard case for the iPad, should be getting a pretty big upgrade this year. And then also the Apple Pencil, be getting a new Apple Pencil this year that might have some new gesture support somehow in there, and also a new haptic motor for like vibration feedback. So if you wanted a little bit more resistance or customization in the feedback as you use your Apple Pencil, that should be coming to the all-new version, which will be very cool to see. And then two other interesting tidbits about this event. One is that we're hearing that, like the Scary Fast event in October, probably going to be a pretty short event, probably under an hour, so you don't have to commit 2 hours to this thing, at least that's the rumor. And then also, interesting time for this event. It's a 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern event, which is odd. Apple usually does 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then whatever the time zone happens to be. But again, Mark Gurman at Bloomberg speculates that Apple could be doing this to sort of lure in international audiences, that a 7 a.m. Pacific time slot is an early one for those Pacific West Coasters, but might make sense for more international audiences, for those in China and London and other places around the world. So different start time that we could see this year. Obviously, we're going to be getting a probably shorter event and new iPads coming in less than a week. Of course, I'll have the full details on what Apple is going to unveil after the event is wrapping up. So if you want to subscribe, do that now. Make sure you got notifications turned on, because I'll be breaking down all the iPad news you need to know about in less than a week from right now. All right, moving on from that, we've got some more news here on iOS 18, again coming from Mark Gurman and his inside sources at Apple. Now, again, we're hearing that iOS 18 is going to be possibly the biggest redesign, most significant update we've ever seen to iPhone software. So expect some really cool things here. A lot of Apple stock apps are going to be getting revamped and overhauled with new features, which will be great. And then again, as I mentioned before, Apple's really focusing on AI. And we're hearing now that that AI isn't going to be like a chatbot, but it could be things like having Safari be able to summarize a web page or an article you're reading, being able to have AI sort of work to catch you up on notifications you may have missed. It's going to be stuff like that. Apple's all about the practical use cases on how they use their machine learning technology that should be here on iOS 18. We're also hearing that iOS 18 is going to be more customizable than ever before, that you'll actually be able to get this is groundbreaking for Apple, be able to move your app icon anywhere on the screen and not be locked to a grid. Not like Android hasn't been doing that forever, but it's finally here on iOS 18, but that should be cool to see. Obviously a smarter Siri, and then some other design elements. We're hearing that Apple could take some inspiration from Vision Pro and Vision OS and give the iOS 18 design a bit of a revamp and make it a bit more modern for 2024. So iOS 18 shaping up to be a pretty exciting upgrade and should be giving us more customization options and more control over our phones. Last up, of course, I've got to talk about the iPhone 16 because rumors on this, I feel like I say this all the time, but it's been very slow. I feel like this is the period where Apple is finalizing a lot of these iPhone details before they get things off to more development stages and production. So we're sort of gearing up for the big summer production start, which will give us a lot more leaks. But in the meantime, we do have some new insights into the actual dummy models of this phone. This photo coming from our friend Sunny Dixon, who gives us a great look and overview of the 2024 iPhone lineup, giving us the 16, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, and 16 Pro Max. Here are obviously the phones you can see, and obviously the big differences here. You're going to notice the visual changes here is two things. One is that you've got bigger screens on the Pro model, so you're going from 6.1 to 6.3 for the Pro, and then 6.7 to 6.9 on the Pro Max, and then the cameras are going to be vertically stacked on the 16 and 16 Plus. So those phones definitely do look a little bit different. The 16 Pros from the back, if you didn't know the screen size was any bigger, they look almost exactly the same as basically what we've got right now. Obviously, there'll be some new colors and stuff, but that's sort of the overview of the lineup. And yeah, everything else we've sort of heard has sort of been status quo. Bigger screens, thinner bezels, going to be getting some new AI capabilities. Obviously, Apple's going to lean into AI with the processor on these phones, so expect that to be a part of the iPhone 16 lineup as well. We're going to get the action button on all phones, some camera upgrades. We're going to be getting the new capture button, some sort of pressure sensitive button. We don't exactly know what it's going to be doing, but it's going to be on our iPhone 16 lineup. And yeah, that's kind of the big stuff as of right now. Not the most significant upgrade ever in iPhone history, but hopefully iOS 18 makes up for that, as that should bring a lot of cool software features and a new look to our phones. Okay, everybody, that's sort of it. That's the big Apple news of the week. As always, though, I want to know your thoughts down below. Your thoughts on iPads. Are you upgrading? Yes or no? Are you excited for iOS 18? Some new things we could see. Thoughts on the iPhone 16? Sort of been slow rumors lately, but hopefully things pick up soon. But of course, as we get more developments on what Apple could be working on next, I'll let you know. As always, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Thank you so much for your support. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you all in the next one.